All right, so welcome back to Bio 107 Lab. So today, April 14th, we're going to be talking about what we're doing for lab today. I just wanted to point out that I am doing Zoom office hours now on Tuesday, so you should be able to join the meeting room. I've set them up so that they are recurring office. It's one office hour from 11 a.m. to noon on Tuesdays, and so feel free to join into that Zoom meeting room. We can chat if you have questions. That's my new virtual office hour. So if you're interested in any of that, just let me know, or just join. I'll be on for that full hour in a Zoom call. And I'm always available via email as well. So feel free to reach out. So today we're going to be talking about our lab. So today, Tuesday, April 14th, today's lab, there's just some reminders on what is due for today. Today you're turning in your lab number 9, your communicules. So you can either send me your lab via Dropbox, or you can take a photo of your communicules and email the photo on your smartphone to me directly. You will most likely have to do a photo if you weren't able to use Microsoft Word when you were showing me the arrangement of your communicules. So I do want to see that on how you arranged your communicules. So make sure you're turning in your lab that was assigned last week. Next up, we have our module number 9 quiz. That's due by midnight or 11:59 p.m. Today. It's due today, Tuesday, April 14th. It's that open book 20-minute module quiz. It's all about taxonomy and systematics that we did last week in module 9. So get that turned in. Also, one of the other things that you guys have due today is your Evolving Switches quiz, which was that 15-minute video that you watched on stickleback fish, or are planning on watching. And so that has a quiz to accompany it. That quiz is 9 questions long. It's a lot of fill-in-the-blank answers. And make sure you get that turned in by 11:59 p.m. today, April 14th. Another thing that is going to be due is our presentations. We're going to be talking about that today. The presentations, the PowerPoint presentations you all have to finish are going to be due April 21st. And I'm going to be outlining what I expect from you, and we'll be looking at a grading rubric today as well. So this is your 3 to 5 minute recorded presentation. So some new assignments that I'm assigning that it will be due 1 week from today is our Module 10 quiz. That's going to be due on April 21st, Tuesday. That is going to be all about what we covered this week on the universe and the astronomical basis of evolution. So that's everything we're covering this week. Also, your presentations are going to be due 1 week from today, so you have a full week to work on them, and that's what we're going to be devoting most of our lab time, and everything that I'm assigning this week is going to be mostly the presentations. So today for virtual lab, what we're doing is we're doing a planetarium show. So if we were still meeting in real life, we would be going to the Starkle Planetarium over in Parkland for a planetarium show. Now, since we can't do that, and I can't take participation for that, and everything is closed, and it's a little bit more difficult for them to do a virtual tour, I have a planetarium show that is the equivalent of what we might see at the Parkland Planetarium. So it's on YouTube. I will attach the link to I have attached the link to the email, and it's on Cobra. So I also want you to just view that. It's about 40 minutes long, and hopefully it'll be enjoyable. So that's what we're doing in lab today. But also, for today, we're going to be working on our PowerPoint presentations, and I'm going to be going over the rubric and everything here in a second, but we're devoting most of our lab time and the week to working on PowerPoint presentations, and that should be adequate time in order to get a 3 to 5 minute presentation up and ready to go. So a little bit more about your presentations, your PowerPoint presentations. So they are going to be due on April 21st by midnight, so make sure you get those in before the deadline so that way it's not considered late. And the earlier you start working on it, the easier it is for you to reach out and ask me questions if you have any issues. The presentation itself needs to be 3 to 5 minutes long on your selected topic. Now, if you haven't selected a topic, please do so now. The easiest way to find the thread to select your topic is to go to Cobra and click on the discussions link along the top of your Cobra. And once you click on that discussions link, it should take you to a page that has a few threads. And I believe it's the top thread that shows up. It's going to be PowerPoint presentation topics discussion thread or something like that. And I believe there's 7 students that have already submitted topics. So we're still missing about half of you. So get that topic in. So once you've selected your topic, you have a few different options for the presentation itself, for delivering it to me. And we're going to go through all of those options. So the first option is you can record yourself giving your presentation with either a smartphone or a computer webcam, kind of like how I have here. And you can upload that link, or that recording once it's recorded, into Dropbox, or upload it to YouTube and give me the link so I can watch it on YouTube. Now, if you're having issues depositing the video in Dropbox, send me an email and let me know, and I can give you a shared Dropbox link that allows you to deposit a larger file. And so we can make it work that way. So the second option you have here is you can give me the presentation via Zoom. So we can sign into a Zoom meeting site together, and then you can give me the actual presentation live on Zoom. We can share your screen, and if you don't have a webcam, that's fine. I would still be able to hear you give the presentation itself. The third option here we have is you can send me the presentation or the PowerPoint presentation in advance and then give me the presentation over the phone. I could call you on Skype for Business. You can just do the presentation, tell me when to go along on the slides, and we can do the presentation that way. Now, this is a more rudimentary version of giving the presentation, so this is for folks who don't have access to high-speed internet or broadband where they're at. If you're living out in the country and your connection's a little bit more slow, this would be probably the best option for you. I'm hoping options 1 or 2 would work for most of you, because I'm sure that a lot of you have high-speed internet or a smartphone or some sort of internet capability. And the fourth option here is if you have another idea that's more innovative on how to deliver that presentation to me, please reach out. We can work through things, and I can be flexible. So I want everybody to do well, and if you have a better idea and you want to share it with me or the class, just let me know. Send me an email or a message, and I'd be happy to work with you on that. Okay, so this is our grading rubric for the presentation. So there's 3 categories here that I'm grading on. The first one is the PowerPoint itself. The second one is the presentation of the PowerPoint or the PowerPoint verbal. And the third is the sources that you use to create the PowerPoint. So let's go through each of the 3. So the first category here, the PowerPoint itself. So make sure you're doing the background. The background information is organized, you're doing your research, and that everything flows well. Also, the amount of background information is adequate. You're using just enough background information to get the point across and to deliver your presentation effectively. Also, make sure you're using vocabulary that is associated with the topic and is clearly defined if there are words that we might not know. So the second portion here under this first PowerPoint, the PowerPoint presentation, is the figures. So you're using at least one figure that helps give a great communication of the concept. So use at least one figure. You're also using important details on the figures that are easy to identify. So make sure you're using details that are related to the topic here. Also, you're using at least 2 figures in the presentation, so have at least 2 of those in there. And then lastly, this is basically saying that you are turning your presentation in on time. And then the miscellaneous portion of the PowerPoint presentation is that the font on the presentation is legible, is large enough to read. I can understand what it's saying. You'll want to make sure that you have minimized the amount of text on each slide as much as possible. I know I'm not always great with that, but I try for the most part. So pictures and images are more important than the actual text, because you giving the presentation is what's going to be important. Also, the student has not gone beyond the scope of Bio 107. So I don't want you guys going off on a tangent in your presentation or down some sort of wormhole. So make sure you stick to the point and what sort of things we've already learned in Bio 107. And then lastly, the presentation is 3 to 5 minutes long, so make sure you're doing that as well. Okay, so for the verbal portion of your PowerPoint presentation, so this is you actually giving the PowerPoint presentation. So if you're giving the presentation and recording it, make sure you're doing appropriate eye contact. Obviously, if you don't have access to a webcam or you can't record yourself looking into the smartphone, this doesn't apply to you. But also make sure that your voice is clear and it's loud enough to be heard in your recordings. I want to make sure you're not whispering. Next here, the student has avoided just reading the presentation itself. You don't want to be just reading note cards or off the presentation. You want to be acting, at least implying that you've done your research and you know what you're talking about to an extent where you don't have to read just anything you've just written. So. And the student here has exhibited some sort of enthusiasm in your topic. So something you're somewhat excited about or passionate about would be nice. At least you wouldn't be standing up there doing some sort of monotone presentation. Just a little bit of energy would be exciting for everybody. Well, me especially, because I'll be the one listening to all of them. Okay, and then the last category here are your PowerPoint sources. So you're doing your research, right? So you need to use the sources here. So the student, which is you, needs to at least include some sort of works cited section at the end of your presentation. I'm not going to be super picky on the works cited type, just making sure you're including that in your presentation. So if you're using journals, if you're using websites, whatever you're using to do your research, include a works cited in your PowerPoint presentation on the last slide. Also, you need at least 5 sources. 5. So make sure you have at least 5, because I want you guys to get full credit for that. 2 of the sources have to be non-internet. So any sort of journal article that you find on the internet but that you read is acceptable as a non-internet source. If you're using a news article from Time or any sort of Newsweek or newspaper article or something like that, making sure, even though they're on the computer, I will count that as a non-internet source. An internet source would be just like a web page. So make sure you're using at least 2 non-internet sources. 2. Next here, the student has exhibited proper CSE or MLA citation in the text of their presentation. So I'm able to tell which facts came from which source in your PowerPoint presentation. So that can be exhibited by having a small citation in the bottom left or right corner of your PowerPoint presentation. So just include that and make sure you're having those sources cited. So if you have a slide that's coming from Newsweek or a slide that's coming from a journal article, make sure you're putting that citation on that PowerPoint slide. And then lastly here, you're exhibiting proper CSE and MLA format on your last works cited section on the last slide of your PowerPoint presentation. So I don't care what sources necessarily you're using, but I do want them in correct works cited format on that last slide. You can use your choice, MLA or CSE, and there's lots of websites you can go to that will help you properly format your CSE or your MLA citations. So feel free to use those sites as well, because that is a plethora of knowledge that is out there and just at your fingertips. So feel free to use those sites that will help you correctly cite all of your sources. Okay, so I believe that is all I have for the lab today for Bio 107 for April 14th. So make sure you're watching the universe video, the planetarium video, and then also make sure you're working on your PowerPoint presentation. And so there's no actual lab that's going to be assigned today that's due next week. It's just going to be your PowerPoint presentation that's going to fill the place of your lab. So have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing all of the PowerPoint presentations on your topics. So have a great week.